For years, it's always been easy to just recommend the Chase Trifecta for folks interested in the credit card game. Beginners and old pros alike. Low spenders and big leaguers both could count on amazing synergy of the venerable Chase Trifecta. Ultimate rewards points were plentiful for everyone using this near perfect earnings machine. But with most things in the rearview mirror, we really have to ask, is the Chase Trifecta obsolete now? Was it ever as good as we remember? Let's dig into this legendary credit card setup that was touted as the champion for everyone. Travelers, savers, and cash backers. Player twos, optimizers, fresh out of college, and professional spenders. Everyone wants the Chase Trifecta, but let's peel back the sparkling exterior and really get into the nuts and bolts of the illusion that is the most recommended credit card setup in the game. And if you are new here, I'm Luke from Luke's Points and Miles, and I talk about credit cards, points, miles, cashback, and travel. If you're interested in that sort of thing, consider becoming a subscriber. And if you get any value or entertainment from this video, please do me a huge favor and slap that like button for the algorithm. With all that out of the way, let's talk about why the Chase Trifecta might be obsolete moving into 2026. First of all, what is the Chase Trifecta? Well, there are two versions depending on your price point. The cards include the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Chase Freedom Flex, and a Sapphire card. Either the Sapphire Preferred at $95 or the Sapphire Reserve at a mind-blowing $795. I will quickly break down the cards and the roles within the setup. The Sapphire cards are the travel cards. They have great purchase and travel protections and insurances, and they give the user access to the Chase transfer partners. Sometimes they give the user a boost when booking travel within the Chase travel portal, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The Chase Freedom Flex, it earns 5x on rotating categories with a $1,500 per quarter cap. For years, categories included common everyday vendors like grocery stores, gas stations, dining, or Amazon. The Chase Freedom Unlimited was the catch-all, and it earns 1.5x ultimate rewards points on everything. All these cards ironically earn 3x on restaurants, so if you're scoring at home, the entire setup looks a lot like this. Chase Sapphire Preferred Trifecta will give you 3x on dining, 2x on travel, 5x in the Chase travel portal and with quarterly categories, 3x on online groceries and streaming, and 1.5x on everything else. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is a little bit different, but for this video, we're going to mostly focus on the Chase Sapphire Preferred. The idea was that these three cards complemented each other and were a great way to earn and spend ultimate rewards points in a great ecosystem that was both beginner friendly and adequate for experts as well. And I think for a long time, this was one of the best options for almost everyone. So what's went wrong? Well, putting the cards under a microscope and tossing out blind loyalty, we see a few glaring details. First thing is, let's look at this setup's weakest link. And in my opinion, that's the Chase Freedom Unlimited. 1.5x is well under the industry standard of 2x, but folks used to justify the 1.5x by saying that it was actually 1.875x. Ironically, still under the industry standard. And that was when it was used in the Chase travel portal. Another curious justification is folks will say that 1.5 transfer to Hyatt was more valuable than other transfers with its competitors. That sometimes made sense until you ran into anyone that gets good to great value with just about any other hotel partner. An apples to apples example might be a card like the Amex Blue Business Plus that transfers to Hilton at 1 to 2. The Blue Business Plus earns 2x, so that's going to translate to 4 Hilton Honors points. And we can argue all day and compare 4 Hilton Honors points to 1.5 Hyatt points, but that comparison will never be a great argument for earning just 1.5x versus the industry standard of 2. I am going to average more value on 4 Hilton Honors points, but that's a discussion for a different video. I'll end this point with this. The 1.5x will continue to underperform the more you use it. No one will ever convince me that when I want to fly to Europe using 70,000 Aeroplan points, that earning 1.5 is going to be better than earning 2. It's just math, guys. Now let's look at the Freedom Flex. My surface thought is the spending cap is what's holding this card back, but anyone can hold multiples of these cards. I actually have the Freedom card and I very rarely use it. Why? Well, it's more difficult to set up quarterly use of certain credit cards, track the spending so you don't go over, and acquire a second card for those quarters you need a higher limit. Now we could add in some of these new categories we've seen like McDonald's, pet shops, charities, or how about Old Navy and department stores? I'm not impressed, and it almost doesn't even seem worth it for a potential 7,500 UR points per quarter. Not saying it's bad by any means, but it's not going to knock your Aunt Connie's socks off. Now let's talk about the only card with an annual fee, the Chase Sapphire Preferred. In my opinion, this card is a borderline stinker. I've said before, it is just a card with a $95 transfer partner tax. The card just underperforms. It's a travel card that earns 2x on travel. That actually hurts my heart. 3x online groceries was okay during the pandemic, but really just begs the question, what about other groceries? You know, ones that you go buy. They're not online. The only way to mitigate that $95 annual fee is a $50 hotel credit within the travel portal that no one seems to use. And this card, as well as all the other cards, earns 3x on dining, which is a bright point. I do also want to point out that this card has great protections and insurances, so it's not a fail, it's just not great. The Sapphire Reserve is the more expensive, more powerful Sapphire, but it's been turned into a coupon book while losing its best benefits. It no longer earns 1.5x in the portal, and it no longer earns on general travel purchases. This card could be a great card if you can convince yourself to prepay for a ton of products like Apple TV and a fairly non-existent restaurants program, or if you order DoorDash several times a month. But the refresh has definitely been overwhelmingly negative, and at least for this video, I want to focus on the Preferred. So I want to point out a few things just off the top of my head. No full-time grocery or gas multipliers. For most people and most families, these are steadily the higher line items of their spending each month. A lot of folks consistently spend at the grocery store and at the gas pump, but none of these cards earn there. The Sapphire card no longer earns a guaranteed bonus within the travel portal for all that domestic economy that used to be such a great value. One of the saving graces for this trifecta was you could earn additional bonuses on the same card every 24 months for the Freedom cards and every 48 months for the Sapphires. That's no longer an option. Or is it? I don't think anyone knows for sure right now. They have also introduced a pop-up jail. So if the Chase Sapphire Trifecta isn't league leading, then what is? Well, it seems some issuers have created alternatives that might actually be better for you. A similarly priced $95 trifecta is available from Citibank. This includes the Strata Premier, Double Cash, and a Custom Cash. This setup earns thank you points at a clip of 3x groceries, gas, dining, airfare, and hotels, 5x on your choice of category each month, and 2x on your non-category spend. You can also earn 10x on hotels through their travel portal. And this is just the more affordable setup. Citi does provide a few different varieties to include a $595 Strata Elite. Oh, and I have to mention, you can hold more than one of those custom caches, and you can earn a 5x on more than one of your favorite categories. Now, what about you high rollers that don't mind shelling out the cash for the best? Well, Amex has a very popular trifecta that includes the Platinum, the Gold, and the Blue Business Plus cards. Now, this setup is going to set you back over $1,200 a year, but it includes a ridiculous amount of benefits, coupons, and luxury travel perks. It earns 4x on dining and groceries, 5x on flights, and 2x on everything else. Back to that flight to Europe for 70,000 Aeroplan points. You'll get there a lot faster with either one of these trifecta options. I'm willing to bet that if you were to put in the effort and you didn't mind the complexity, you could put together a no-fee cash back setup and travel just as well as you would with that Chase trifecta. But that's also a topic for a different video. Guys, is the Chase trifecta obsolete moving into 2026? Comment below and tell me what you think. Have the other issuers evolved past Chase? Did Chase dropped the ball with all the recent changes? Let me know, and if you have stayed all the way to the end, I appreciate you, and I want to thank every single one of you.